Okay, so this is the last video in my video series. First video is just kind of an introduction to Kili gear. Second video was all the gear that I get the porters to carry. Third video was my clothing that I take with me and carry typically with the porter gear as well. And this last video is going to be about my day pack. So I am going to quickly just go over boots. As you can see, mine are a little bit dirty from my last climb. Really what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have a really good hiking boot. Again, you're going to be going through 5 different climate zones. You're going to be hiking on trail, you're going to be hiking in mud, you're going to be hiking on scree and rock, and then potentially into snow. And you got to combine all that into one boot. So really what they recommend, is a Gore-Tex, really good kind of all-purpose hiking boot. You can spend a lot of money or not a lot of money on boots, but really as part of your preparation for climbing, you should be doing some longer distance hikes, and you'll find that your feet are going to take a beating. So really, if you're going to invest any money in any of your gear, invest in a really good set of boots. What's key about the boots is that you wear them in properly. All sorts of recommendations on there. Myself personally, I kind of prescribe to the 100K rule, which is that you should have about 100K worth of introductory or non-strenuous hiking inside your boots before you take them on the really strenuous climbs. So when you're doing your preparation, you're going to be prepping for months before you go to Kili. Make sure that you buy your boots early in your gear purchases if you don't already have a set, and start using them, getting used to them, finding out if they fit well, if there's any pinch points, all of that well in advance. You do not want to go buy yourself a set of gear and show up in Tanzania taking it out of the plastic, getting ready for a hike. That's a recipe for disaster. So good set of boots. And one of the things with boots that you can also buy is insoles. For me, my feet are really sensitive. I have a real tough time with my feet. And so for me, investing in a good set of insoles like Superfeet or Dr. Scholl's gels or whatever is a must. Make sure that you take out the existing insole into your boot. Don't double them up. Take out the existing insole out of your boot, put them in, make sure they fit well. And again, use these as part of that 100K prep. You're going to wear them down a little bit, but you're going to make sure that they're kind of conform to your feet and make sure that they in fact do what you want them to do. Definitely a good benefit for when you're climbing. Just a couple of things. I have a spare stuff sack here. A little bag that I carry with me that just has some miscellaneous things like some throat lozenges, earplugs. Again, this is just kind of a bag, and my sunglasses. The thing with sunglasses, they do recommend that you wear a set of polarized sunglasses that have a good wrap around the side, have a larger. You don't want to have a really small sunglass lens. The big thing when you're up at the higher altitudes is the sun is bright. If it's reflecting off the snow, it really can hurt your eyes. You've probably seen some of the horror stories, people going blind when they're climbing Everest, etc. because of the snow. Definitely want to invest in a decent set of sunglasses that are polarized and that have a good wraparound. So as far as your pack, this is an alpine pack. So this pack here is designed for a lot of gear that I'm not going to be taking with me. But the reason why I like this pack is because it fits close to my body. It has a really good back support system. So these are really big pads that sit along my back and have a nice channel in the center that air can flow through. But you're going to be looking for a target of 25 to 30 liter day pack. There's all sorts of different packs on the market that have integrated hydration systems, that have internal frames, external frames. Really, again, It depends on your personal style, whether you have any history, what you're going to be using it for outside of your climb to Kili. If you're going to be doing alpine work, if you're going to be just doing backcountry. So find a pack that's good for you. One of the things that I did find, I'm a big fan of Mech. Almost all my gear is bought at Mech, but I didn't really like their packs. I found that the plastic buckles appeared to be really low quality to me. Think about the fact that on Summit, these are going to be down to minus 20 Celsius, 25 Celsius. They're going to get brittle. So make sure that it's a sturdy pack and that it's going to be able to put up with 7 days. So you do not want to be on day 5 and have your Daypack break on you. So on the outside of my Daypack, I've got basically strapped on 2 of my trekking poles. Trekking poles are personal preference. Lots of the guide companies recommend them. If you do use trekking poles, make sure that you take them out and practice with them in advance, specifically learning how to size them proper height, making sure that you get the whole which leg is forward with which pole is forward, practice proper grips and then proper grips for descending. Just get used to them because really they can be a benefit. They can save, I think it's up to 20% of the impact on your knees. But if you're not using them properly, really they're just going to get in the way and they're just something that you don't need to spend some money on. With hiking poles, what I do recommend is that you buy an extra set of stoppers for the bottom. You can either run them in the pointy mode or put the stoppers on them. Depending if you're dealing with rock, scree, etc., sometimes having the pads on them will be better than having the pokers on them. It really depends. But these poles, you can buy really cheap wood ones for 15 bucks all the way through a $200 dual shock. So fit it into your budget, and if you're only going to be using them once, then I wouldn't spend a whole bunch of money on them. On my pack, I also have a whistle. This is just kind of standard survival gear. Here's my Nalgene 1 liter. Depends, some people use 500 ml, some people use 1 liter, some people rely solely on their hydration system. What I like to do is I like to take my hydration system, which carries 3 liters, then I carry 1 liter into here. Depending how you manage altitude, some people find at altitude with exertion that they actually have very little left in them for trying to suck water through a hydration system. If that's the case, what you can do is you can drink from your water bottle, maybe a SIG or one of the Nalgene wide mouths here. Drink this and then fill it from your hydration system if you don't quite, if you're not comfortable drinking from your hydration system. It can also be used in camp, etc. This one just happens to be a glow-in-the-dark one because I do like it inside the tent if I do need to have a drink at night. I don't have to turn on my headlamp. So what I carry in mind, again, where you carry your gear specific in your bag, they all come with a bunch of different pouches, a large central pouch, and then some have tons of other ones. Really what you want to do is you want to get out there when you're doing your preparation, again, get your pack early as well, and start getting used to it. Start taking the gear that you're going to carry on Kili with you every time you go for a climb. It should be pretty much your standard climbing gear anyways. But the important thing is to know exactly where your gear is. You don't want to be digging out into the bottom of your main pack, pulling out 5 or 6 stuff sacks with a small gear, only to find out that it's in another pack or something like that. So get comfortable with it and then find the gear that you want to have with you and where you want to have it. These are a set of Crag gloves. I like to use these if I'm going to be doing any rock work. So for example, Barranca Wall. You throw these on. They're not designed to be insulating so much as they're designed to protect your hands. If you look at my hands, I've got scars all over them from climbing, and throwing on a set of these gloves quite often will save my hands from taking a beating. Nice and handy is my backpack cover. Some people wear a poncho that they then put over top of their pack. That does tend to keep your pack a little bit drier if it's long enough to cover to the bottom of your pack. and over kind of the hump on your back. That will keep it drier. These ones here do allow water to basically run down the back of your hood or the back of your head and your back in between the two of them. So you will get water coming in that way. But for myself, I'm just not a poncho guy. I get too hot in a poncho. So for me, I have my pack cover. And for me, in the top one there, I carry basically my all-purpose climbing knife. So it's nice and accessible for me. In the front pack for me, this is kind of my miscellaneous area. Things are going to start falling out here as I'm usually standing up, reaching down in. For me, I'm a bit of a techno geek, so I do have quite a bit of IT gear in here. Inside of this container here, and I use lots of different stuff sacks. What it allows me to do is look inside. I can quickly identify by the color of the stuff sack what's in it, and it keeps it from moving around because I don't have a lot of interior pockets. But I have a small iPod. This is one of like 10-year-old or something really old, but it's great. It carries 200 songs for me, and it's lightweight. Not as fancy as the new Nano ones, but and a set of earphones. Quite often I'll use these at night. Some people like to hike with them. For me, I like to be able to listen to what's going on around me when I'm hiking. And my GoPro camera with an extended battery. Big thing if you're bringing GoPro, cell phones, all that stuff is realize, again, whatever charge you have when you leave and whatever supplemental charging battery you have, that's all you're going to get. A GoPro you can get, you know, potentially about 3 to 4 hours worth of footage time. Well, if you throw this on when you do the Bronco wall, you're going to drain your battery in one shot, and then you're not going to have any battery power. So be very, very conservative when it comes to how much you use your electronic devices, especially cameras. You don't want to run beyond day 4 and have no battery power left for any of your camera devices. In this bag here, I'm not going to open this, but this is really just all of my GoPro accessories. So my USB cables for charging, right through to the different cases, etc., connectors for my GoPro. I will be taking my iPhone with me, and this is just a waterproof container. I can wear it around my neck if I do want to, if I'm expecting a call, or just throw it in my sack, and that way I make sure that my phone is always dry. For me, what you'll find when you're planning to go to Kili is you're going to have tons of medications. You're going to have your Diamox, you're going to have your antibiotic in case you get severe diarrhea, you're going to have your regular anti-diarrhea medications, you're going to have your painkillers, you're going to have all of that. So if you're taking it in your checked luggage, then you can get away with one of these kits. If you're taking it with your carry-on, you really should take it in the original packaging. Some immigration or customs folks get really excited about it, but this pack here is phenomenal. I absolutely love it, and basically what it is it's individual packets. What I do is I take my medications, I place just the amount of medications that I require for the trip inside the container with a little sticky note that includes the dosages and what the medication is. And that way I don't have 15 different bottles of medication. I've got everything for sinus colds or whatever I need. It's in a nice little container here, and I have it with me at all times in case it's needed. Batteries, again, big thing with batteries for your headlamps, etc. Lithium batteries. You want to take lithium batteries. They do manage, they last much longer, and they handle the cold at summit much better. Big thing with lithiums, lithiums do need to be in your carry-on luggage. You're not supposed to put lithium batteries in checked luggage, and they do want you to keep them in the original packaging so that they can't come in contact with each other, come in contact with a metal object. If you've ever sometimes left a battery in your pocket and it's touching change, it'll get warm. So what I do is I just take the original package and I cut it down so that I have it still in the original package, but it's nice and small, and I have just the number of batteries that I'm going to require for the trip. This will make sure I'll take this with me on my carry-on luggage for when I go on the plane. Head mount for my GoPro camera, which I'll use for some of the shots that I'm going to take. And this is kind of just a first aid slash toiletries bag. So in here I have insect repellent with DEET, but not a whole bunch. I have a moleskin pack in case I get any hot spots. I have my sunscreen, lots of it. I will be applying this multiple times during the day. I recommend a minimum of SPF 60. I was just in the store the other day and I saw SPF 100. That's the first time I've personally seen SPF 100. But if you're going to the top of a mountain, especially snow covered, go with SPF 100. It's going to help you out a lot. This is a nasal mist. Again, I get really dry nose, so this here helps just keep my nose from bleeding. Polysporin, your normal first aid. Lip balm with SPF. So again, if you notice, lots of climbers and people on Kilimanjaro, they have really cracked lips, etc. So number one, you want to keep those moist, but also throw in a little bit of sunscreen. Here's another hand sanitizer and anti-chafing cream. So again, I talked about earlier video about wearing compression underwear to avoid chafing between the thighs. Again, not something you want to talk about, but anti-chafing cream, fantastic. If you chafe in between the thighs, great. If you chafe on the underarms, sometimes on the chest. And another thing that you can do is you can take this, put a little bit on your feet before you put your liner sock on, and it'll actually cut down on blisters on your feet as well. And last thing that I carry in this little stuff sack here is just some refreshing tears. So in case my eyes get dry or I get something in my eye, I can do a little bit of irrigation of my eyes. So again, I keep all of this in small stuff sacks. I know which stuff sack it is. It makes it really easy for me to reach into my pack and grab whatever I need. If I do get a leak, by having it in multiple stuff sacks as well, I'm not going to get my IT gear wet by having a bunch of hand sanitizer get all on it. GPS unit. So again, this is Geek Squad, definitely not required. For me, whenever I go hiking, I always carry a GPS unit with me. Number one, if I'm doing solo hiking, I do it so that I can report my GPS coordinates back to my spouse. I report in every hour what my GPS coordinates for a solo hike. Also, it's just a nice record of where you've been. You can see your maximum climb. You can see what your altitude is, all of that. I love this unit. This is the cheapest unit that Mech has. It's $100. Doesn't have very good base maps, but it keeps really good waypoints and tracks. And it's a nice little unit. I just turn it on in the morning, throw it back in my backpack. At the end of the day, I turn it off and download it at the end of my trip. Headlamp, again, you can spend a lot of money, get headlamps with external battery packs, etc. The big thing with the headlamps, people concentrate on summit night, that you're going to require it for summit night, but you are going to end up using it probably every night inside of your tent, sometimes in meals, depending on how much light your porters have with them. Big thing with the headlamps, make sure that you have a spare set of batteries, and I recommend that you change the batteries to a new set just prior to summit night. So you use one set every night. Even if they still have juice left, always start your summit night with a fresh set of batteries. Again, if you carry some with you, you can change them out, but if it's minus 20 degrees, the last thing you want to do is be swapping out batteries in a headlamp at 19,000 feet. This is just a miscellaneous bag. I'm not going to open it, but I've got a couple of little things of duct tape. Again, they can fix anything, and a spare set of shoelaces in this one. And the last one that I have in my outer pouch here is I just have some Nuon. These are electrolyte tablets. I'll actually carry only one of these typically. The rest I'll throw in my porter pack. But these, I just dump 4 of these into a 3-liter hydration system, and it turns it into an electrolyte mix, kind of like a Gatorade. Takes away some of the iodine taste if you're using iodine tablets. And one of the other tricks is that it does actually make it so that the water doesn't freeze as easily on your summit night. So that's my outer pack. I do have one inner section here where I keep a first aid kit. Most of the guide companies will provide first aid kits for you, but it's always a good idea, no matter when you're hiking, regardless of what's provided for you, to have a first aid kit. One thing to note on this first aid kit, I haven't had to use it yet, but to make sure that you know that it hasn't been used, it has a little zip tie that says basically this has never been opened before. Think ahead, realize this zip tie needs something pretty strong in order to cut the zip tie off. The last thing you want to do is end up in a situation where you can't get into your first aid kit because you can't get the zip tie undone. And the last section is the interior section. So I've got a few things in here. I've got a pack-light towel. Again, these are the really small, really thin, general-purpose towels. You'll use it for everything from wiping your face down to if you do decide to wash your hair or whatever. And they pack really small. They dry really quickly. Fantastic. My one daily use toilet paper that I have. In here I have a buff. So I love these. They're great. I like them in dry climate, put over my nose, so I keep dust. Here in the Philippines, because it's really hot, quite often I end up using it as a headband to absorb my sweat. And then you can use it in colder weather as balaclava. Amazing all around. Gaiters. Some people wear gaiters, some people don't. They're not really required, although they are recommended. Again, they keep dirt out of your boots. They protect your legs. Lots of reasons for using them, but if you're trying to save a few dollars, they're not absolutely critical. I love wearing them. A hat, definitely just your general purpose hat. Some people wear tillies. Totally up to you. My toque, so some people wear knit, whatever. Really, it all depends on what you're wearing. Because I wear a balaclava as well, I didn't have to go really heavy with a toque. But again, like your mom always said, lots of your heat's lost through your head, so make sure you have a good toque. That'll be worn quite often at nighttime, as well as for summer. Here's my shell jacket. Talked about this a little bit earlier. This is actually quite often one of the most expensive pieces of your kit. Is a really good shell. You want it to be waterproof, windproof, Gore-Tex, very durable. They pack nice and small. Vents, because again, you're going to wear this on summit night to make you windproof. You're going to wear it at the lower altitudes if it rains. Now, if it's at the lower altitudes and you're dealing with 20 to 30 degrees Celsius weather, you're going to sweat. So you're going to want to basically have them that have vents in them so you can keep some airflow going and keep you from boiling. And that's basically everything that I have in basically my internal pack. Is I put my clothes in the internal pack, all my gear in the external pack, and then the only other areas here is I have my hydration system. So for me, I have a 3-liter Camelback system, quick connect, which is great. It's really easy to pop off the tubing and replace it with the insulated tubing. It doesn't leak. You want to keep these nice and clean. Once you get dirt or anything in them, it becomes a bacterial breeding ground. It sits basically right next to the back. Almost all the systems, hydration system will sit right next to your back. And that's just simply due to proper packing methodologies. So you want to have that heavy weight right close to your back, middle of the pack. So that's where that is. And then in mine, which I'm kind of revealing a little bit of a secret here, but behind the hydration system, I have a compartment. And inside of here, I actually have a waterproof document pack. And this is where I carry any of my spare money. I carry all of my passport, photocopies, copies of my visas, whatever I need. I carry that in a waterproof pack inside of kind of a hidden compartment inside the back of my Daypack. That pack goes with me everywhere. I know it's secure, and someone's going to have to be digging deep, or I guess watch this YouTube video, in order to know where I keep all of my documents. So that's where I keep that. really, that's all the gear that I'm personally taking with me to Kili. I covered kind of the basic requirements all the way through to some of the gear that I have, which is definitely nice to have. I didn't show my iPhone, but I will have an iPhone with me. Between the iPhone and my GoPro, that's enough for taking pictures for me. But really, that's basically all the gear. I'm lucky enough that TOS Security has sponsored my gear, so I've been able to buy some of the nicer gear. But if you're interested, just send me a message or an email, and I can give you some alternatives to some of the gear that I have for some lower priced options. And I hope this video has kind of helped you as far as doing your due diligence. Definitely check out the other YouTube videos, check out the websites, compile the lists, and then go through and do, like I said before, do your budget, do your weight allocations, and your whatever fits your hiking style. And good luck with your putting together your gear.